Hello and welcome to the most accurate Arab-Israeli conflict crash course. In this course, you will know top secret facts you would never know before about Arab-Israeli conflict. In this course, we discussed secret, official, and accurate facts that you would never know in anywhere else except in this video. First of all, the 1967 war, which was the most decisive war in the Arab-Israeli conflict that emerged important outcomes. One of the major outcomes of the Six-Day War, 1967 war, was the complete Israeli control over the Palestinian territories. After occupying Palestinian territories in 1967, Israel froze the municipal boundaries of Palestinian towns and villages. Because Israel in general denies Palestinians the right to build outside municipal boundaries, Israeli authorities legalized it and issued a law that prevented the Palestinians from building anywhere outside their towns or city of birth. This law has served as a basis for stemming Palestinian growth, denying Palestinians 90% of needed housing permits. Since 1967, not one new Palestinian community has been established in East Jerusalem. The Arab-Israeli conflict has the most complicated refugee crisis, the largest number of refugees cases still unresolved. During the 1948 war, 750,000 Palestinians became refugees. During Israel's 1967 invasion and occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, another 550,000 Palestinians were expelled. Most of these 1948 and 1967 refugees live in refugee camps outside Mandate Palestine, but 1.8 million are internally displaced, living in Israel proper, the West Bank, and Gaza. None of the 1948 refugees, including those internally displaced, and the vast majority of the 1967 refugees have ever been allowed to return to their homes or reclaim their property. By contrast, Jews from anywhere in the world may return to Israel proper or to occupied Palestinian territories. Israel's recognition remains one of the most complicated issues that makes solving the conflict very difficult. Most of Arab countries don't recognize Israel. Most importantly, Hamas, the most prominent Palestinian faction, refuses to recognize Israel. Israel and much of the West asserted that the principal obstacle to any progress toward Palestinian-Israeli peace is the refusal of Hamas to recognize Israel, a country without borders. Israel always refuses to define its borders. Israel has never defined its own borders, yet there are serious practical problems with this language. What Israel? Within what borders? Is it 55% of historical Palestine recommended for a Jewish state by the UN General Assembly in 1947? Or the 78% of historical Palestine occupied by the Zionist movement in 1948 and now viewed by most of the world as Israel or Israel proper? Or the 100% of historical Palestine occupied by Israel since June 1967 and shown as Israel, without any green line on maps in Israeli school books? 1973 war was a watershed in the US foreign policy. In other words, the 1973 Arab-Israeli war was a watershed for the US foreign policy towards the Middle East. The war forced Nixon administration to realize that Arab frustration over Israel's unwillingness to withdraw from the territories it had occupied in 1967 war could have a major strategic consequences for the United States. The war thus paved the way for Secretary of State Henry Kissinger's shuttle diplomacy and ultimately the Israeli-Egyptian peace treaty in 1979. Would you like to know more about the Arab-Israeli conflict? You can now download the crash course about the Arab-Israeli conflict completely free, where you will learn about, apart from losing Palestine, what was the Arabs' strongest motive that pushed Arabs to wage a war against Israel, how more than 100 American civilians, not soldiers, got killed in a non-relevant Arab-Israeli conflict. What is the biggest support that helps Israel survive militarily and economically? What was the American intelligence failure in international politics? What was Israel's sweeping intelligence victory over the Arabs? Download this course now completely free and know more about the Arab-Israeli conflict. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoyed the crash course and see you soon in future videos and courses. Goodbye.